Alright, YouTube, it's time for the Occult Video 82. Hypnotism, mesmerism, suggestion, things related to those. I believe that they are all very real. That is to say, it is possible to use hypnosis on people. It's been done. It's used professionally under some circumstances. I'm not sure that using past life regression style sort of suggestion and mesmerism is very useful. But certainly in certain contexts, if a person has a severe incapability on their part mentally, it can help them, or it could be used to hurt people, certainly. For instance, there were a slew of hypnotists and mesmerists working during the Satanic Panic that would put people under hypnosis and then draw out of them, oh yeah, I was part of a Satan cult, they made me touch the skeleton, they made me lick the skeleton, stuff like that. And it turns out that in most cases these were quacks, these were frauds, people need to be careful. Mesmerism is real though. It's not just a parlor trick. It is an occult art, but it overlaps directly with psychology and with psychiatry. For instance, I've got a handbook on mesmerism, and it claims that if you put a chicken's head to the ground and put your finger on its beak and then draw it in a line straight forward, the chicken will sort of stand there mesmerized. This is actually true. What is happening is that the mind has come sort of partially uncoupled from its conscious state through input that is interfering with its normal processes. Just like if a person is lulled into a trance between being asleep and awake, their subconscious can be accessed, and that's really sort of the medicinal purpose of hypnotism, so to speak, because that person can then access potentially memories that they can't consciously access because they simply aren't capable of doing so with their conscious mind. It's just beyond their capability to do. It can have good effects, or it can be used for ill. I'm not talking about like Dr. Caligari's cabinet, sort of, the hypnotist causing people to kill others or something like that. I think that's probably rare. Even under the force of suggestion, a person is still, at least generally, partially going to be capable of making decisions. It's just that they may not be fully so. I would class it in the same type of phenomena as sleepwalking, having lucid dreams, anything related to the nocturnal state, the psychological effects thereof, certainly would be at play here. In fact, I believe it's basically the same thing. As far as the force of suggestion, a lot of it is not a parlor trick, so to speak, but simply tricking the human mind. For instance, we look at a piece of wood or grass or something, we often tend to see faces in it. That's because of the way our minds process input specifically to look for those things. Partially to keep us safe from predators in a jungle or a steppe environment or something like that. You have to be able to see potentially camouflaged individuals coming for you. And this was important for tens of thousands of years. Lately, of course, it has less general importance in our day-to-day lives. What it does instead is convince people that the graininess that they're seeing in a photo is a ghost, that they're seeing faces in the woods, they get all spooked out or something like that. It's similar. It's suggestion after a manner. But these shouldn't be seen as not real. They are very much real. It is possible to hypnotize a person. And it can take multiple forms as far as this sort of phenomena goes. It's not just literally, look into my eyes, you're getting sleepy, very sleepy, and dangling your watch back and forth, and then you can tell them to act like a chicken or something like that. Most often, what's happening there with sort of a stage hypnotist is that the person is doing what the hypnotist wants them to do consciously. They realize they haven't actually been lulled into a trance, so like, oh shit, well, it didn't work. Well, I don't want to piss the dude off, I don't want to drive away his business. I'll just act like a chicken. It'll be fun. And so that's sort of what they do, and often this is the case. With someone who's more trained in the psychological aspects of this, they're not just a stage mesmerist, they're going to be able to do better things, potentially, for the person that they're working with, as well as be more entertaining if they have the notion to do so. And it is occult in nature, of course, when this was first sort of popularized, when you're talking about early wave mesmerism, which went alongside magnetized water and all these sort of quack things they did, generating ozone, Eat this mineral, eat some ground up mummy powder, here's a slice of mellified man, it cost me 100 pounds over in Egypt or something. Some Arabic dude mellified himself and I got a slice. I got the best piece too, it's his cock. When we're talking about these sorts of things, a lot of times we look back and say, oh, it's just parlor tricks. I would like to think that there's something more than just a parlor trick or quack-ishness to many of these things. Generating ozone around somebody probably isn't going to cure their cancer, but could it potentially have some effect on them? Yes, if only psychological, if only a placebo effect. The same would be true of suggestion in many cases. If you can simply give somebody a pep talk in the form of suggestion, so they have more self-confidence, they probably will achieve more over the course of their life. You probably can get rid of their guilt and fear. I help people through this. I don't use mesmerism. But I give them suggestions on certainly how I got rid of my own guilt and fear, and I extrapolate that at least in some cases, if another person does the same thing, it can help them as well. I'm not a trained mesmerist, although the concept itself is relatively simple, it seems. It'd be touch and go. Of course, there are some people who simply won't respond to it either way, so there's really not that much of a reason to actually train in it, unless it's a personal interest of yours. Some of these quackish things, though, that evolve around this time period where the superstitious overlaps with reason and overlaps with science, do have some application. I assume that if you ate a piece of mellified man, probably would have an effect upon your biochemistry, if not significantly beyond just eating a block of honey. Mummy powder, yeah, maybe there are certain compounds in there that have certain medicinal purposes. Maybe it is an astringent. Put a little water in the mummy powder and apply to your face. It will cure your boil, or something like that. As far as hypnotism and mesmerism goes, despite not understanding that it was essential psychology to begin with, it does work. It does have an application. The same would be true of binaural sound or some of these hypnotic trance-like sounds that people listen to, like put them to sleep. It may not be that binaural beats have any particularly pronounced effect upon the average human brain, but at the same time, if someone finds that relaxing, if somebody can fall asleep to that, if they find that their insomnia is treated by it, they should go by that anecdotal experience perhaps, and just keep doing it because it's probably not doing them any harm. ASMR works in much the same manner. Some people find it relaxing, some people find it annoying, some people find it has no effect on them whatsoever. Mesmerism would be the same. But it is an occult art. It fits in, anything that fits in with science, whether on the fringe or in an unexplained or theoretical sense, or science now explained that wasn't some time ago, would be considered part of occultism. So that's a little bit about hypnotism, mesmerism, and suggestion. Interesting topic. I've got several texts on the subject. I do intend to edit and release them over time, including one that unfortunately, as with the Occult Archive, I had to cut the binding loose in order to actually scan it, which was a travesty. I don't want to do that, but at the same time it was falling apart and it probably would have come loose anyway. So I didn't rue the loss quite as much as I might have if it was a really, high quality booklet. That's about all. Peace out.